Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Y'all rock with us. We roll with y'all. Of course, as we continue throughout the night's show, we're thanking the folks on TuneIn, on Legacy Internet Radio, stream licensing, and all of that kind of stuff. Special guest joining us on the live line. We haven't had him as a guest on a segment in quite a while. Of course, we've had him call in random segments. He listens to us every week, and when he hears something crazy, he usually calls in and checks his brother. I always refer to him as my oldest friend, my brother, my partner, my homeboy. What it do, K-Dub?
What's good, brother J, brother J, brother J, what you say? What's good, man?
How you doing, man? Say peace to the square over here.
Peace, Big Joe. What's going on, baby boy?
Yo, you know me, always heading towards the east, looking at the light, bro.
That's what I'm talking about. What I'm talking. Don't let it blind you too much. Don't let it blind you.
No, never that.
Nah. Well, it's funny, Dub, we've been sitting in here, for a little while tonight, Big Bro Joe and I, we rapping and stuff. And, through all of our rapping, I didn't tell him what you and I talked about we were going to do in this segment. So I'm going to set it up for you and for the listeners to kind of vibe and see how they feel about this. And we led off the inaugural season of Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J as a sports show. And, of course, we morphed into more socially conscious and fun stuff. And every once in a while, we do bring in a sports topic. I don't like breaking down sports anymore because that's not what we do and that's not what we're about to do. But I felt like this particular topic was something, that we should talk about on the air. K-Dub and I have had these discussions, and I figured that I would bring this to you guys. I actually had this conversation last week in the barbershop. So anyway, here's the point. You've had a lot of NBA players, National Basketball Association players, that have been taking games off. We're talking about non-injury games off. We're talking about rest. They're not playing games because they are resting. 4 years ago, the NBA dropped a $250,000 fine on the San Antonio Spurs for resting healthy players in a marquee national TV game against the Miami Heat. David Stern argued at the time that while rotational decisions were under the purview of the coaches, the commissioner could issue fines if those decisions violated league policy, quote, against resting players contrary to the best interests of the NBA. In short, the league office gave leeway to coaches to rest players as long as they didn't go too far. If coaches were found to be abusing their power, the NBA would hit them with the fine. It's a bit arbitrary and subjective, but isn't everything. Something like this falls under the category of, quote, contrary to the best interests of the NBA when you see it. The Warriors resting Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green for a marquee ABC Saturday night game against the Spurs is contrary to the best interests of the NBA. The Cavaliers resting LeBron James and Kyrie Irving for the very next week's marquee ABC Saturday night game against the Clippers is contrary to the best interests of the NBA. I'm getting that in part from SBNation.com. Thank you to those folks. I'll add this last piece, Dub, before I have you give you the first word after I ask you a question. LeBron James did play last night and would be called a less meaningful game. Of course, the Clippers game on Saturday night, he did not play. So my question to you as a college ball player, as a high school coach, what is your thought on resting players, healthy players, in the midst of a long NBA season?
Well, my perspective, and keep in mind, for playing basketball in high school, playing basketball in college, it's totally different once you enter into the NBA because now this is your job, this is your profession. You can look at it from a number of different ways, and why I know kind of sort of where your perspective is. I'm gonna take the polar opposite. I'm gonna look at it from a coaching / general manager's perspective. Here's what I'm thinking. First of all, compared to numbers of years ago, when I say numbers of years ago, I'm going to say 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, we had our superstars, Michael Jordan and whomever you may name. Allen Iverson. Well, I won't say Allen Iverson because he was hurt. But you had Michael Jordan at 40 playing 82 games in one of his seasons in Washington. since that particular time, more and more young basketball players are playing a lot more basketball. They're not playing, just the regular season. You have basketball players, you have them playing the season, then you may have the Olympic trials, you may have the actual Olympics, you have a number of different things. So from the general manager and the coaching perspective is, hey, I'm paying LeBron James $100+ million a year, and I know that we're going to go to the NBA Finals more than likely, and, similar last year, they went all the way to Game 7. If I'm putting so many miles on my horse during the year, there's going to be times where I have to find time to rest my player, whether that's LeBron James or whether that's Kevin Love. I believe Kevin Love didn't play on Saturday as well.
He was coming back from injury.
And so, exactly. So from a coaching perspective, from a general manager's perspective, I get it. You don't want to wear your big dog down because basically right now you're prepping to win a championship. You're not winning the championship in January. You're not winning the championship in March. You're not winning the championship in December. Why I don't agree with that, I can understand. I'll give you an example. Before this all became pretty much a big story to talk about, Popovich has been doing this for years.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because I think Pop was the one who was going under the radar. He was doing it with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker.
He did it with David Robinson.
He did it with Robinson. See, I didn't know that. See, now, and I've been having this discussion. I'm going to bring Big Bro in here in a minute. Let me just make this point because you mentioned Michael Jordan. The other 45 is what I call him. The other 45 who I don't like. And I'm clowning, but no, I really don't like Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Michael Jordan's career in 15 seasons, he played at least 78 games in 12 of them. At least 78 games. We know it's an 82-game season. So we're talking about 82, 82, 82, 81, 82, 82, 80, 78, 82, 82, 82 again in his final season with Washington. Now, those seasons where he didn't, he's got that 18 in his second season when he had that injury. And he didn't come back until the playoffs in April against Boston and lit up Larry Bird. And we all remember that. And then in 94, 95, coming off of playing baseball, he played 17. And then we know he had the bad knees his first season in Washington where he played 60. We talking about Michael Jordan. Some folks view him to be the greatest player of all time, and he ain't missed no games. And he also played in the Olympics. So I guess I'm tipping my hand. I'll speak after Big Bro, but I'm tipping my hand a little bit. Big Bro, you listening to what's going on here? What's your thoughts on resting players, man?
I mean, I'm looking at it like a job. I can definitely agree with K-Dub. It's a job, and it's like the United States, and it's like the states in the United States. Each team is their own state. They're their own self-sufficient unit. And while I understand that if something jumps off and we need to make sure that we have people available to protect the United States, you also have to protect your section of country as it may be. I honestly think that it was a different mentality for the players back in the day because there were a lot of superstars that we knew about that we just wanted to make sure we saw. Now, you know me, I don't like LeBron James that much. It's just he is what he is. He's one heck of a ball player. Don't get me twisted, but I just don't like LeBron. But Steph Curry, if you're taking time off because you need a mental health day, and we do that in today's society, we take a mental health day. If you're a little tired, I play sports. If you're tired, you push through it a lot of times. But I still say it still should be left up to the individual teams as to I don't like the way it's written by the NBA. I think that if the individual teams see just cause to rest their player, and you have how many professionals do you have on a basketball team?
It's 15 on a team.
15. You got 15 professionals.
Time 30, Dub, 30 or 32? It's 30 teams?
32.
32.
Okay, 15 times 32.
So everybody out there is a professional. They wouldn't have gotten hired if they couldn't play the game. So just because you take one person out of that equation doesn't mean you should totally fall apart. Everybody, that one person is not going to score everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that one person is LeBron James or Michael Jordan, but I understand what you're saying. But no one, if you're a Knicks fan, nobody is paying attention to, Willie Herman Gardner is not playing a game. But you'll notice if Carmelo is not playing the game.
Well, I mean, all of this goes back to the draw.
Thing also, you look at the NBA over the last, let's say, 30 years. Back when we were young, let's say in the 80s or what have you, yes, you had your superstar for the Lakers, you had your superstar for Boston, you had Dr. J in Philly, you had those individuals, but guess what? There were so many more teams that was in the league, and what's different about that time period now is that the league, they promote the players in regards to, hey, we got this game coming on, watch Stephen Curry versus Russell Westbrook, whereas back in the 80s, it was the LA Lakers versus the Boston Celtics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a team.
So, you know what I'm saying? The dynamic has changed in regards to just the promoting of the league. And I'm going to be honest with you, even though we're having this conversation in regards to players resting, it's not going to be a chink in the armor of the NBA as a whole.
Nah, it's not. But, when we talking about the league office sending a letter to the general manager and the general manager responding by saying, and these are not his words, but this is my interpretation of what he said. I don't care what you say. I got to win this chip. And if winning this chip means I need to rest my horse, then so be it. But the piece that we haven't brought up yet is the money, because you have to talk about the money. You can have your feelings about the money, and we're going to, flesh out Joe's and yours and my feelings, Dub, on the money here in a minute. But you can't have this conversation without talking about the money. And you never had guys, 20, 30 years ago making a whole lot less money worrying about taking days off. Could you imagine what we would have went through if you would have tried to take Isaiah Thomas even out of the game, let alone not playing the game? Are you kidding me? The same with Larry Bird. Like, Larry, you're not playing today. We're going to rest you today. Are you kidding? Seriously? So you have to consider that. And when we talk about money, we can talk about their salaries. That's real easy. But what I'm talking about is you are resting LeBron James. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just making this as an example, Doug, as an example. Mm-hmm. You know that LeBron James makes one trip to play in the Staples Center against the Lakers, and that's the game you rest him in? You're not going to rest LeBron at a game where they play 41 times in Cleveland. You're not going to rest him in that game.
You may want to use a different example because in actuality they come twice because they played the Clippers. Remember,
I said the Lakers.
They played the Clippers. They played the Clippers and last night the Lakers. But I get your point.
I get your point. And I know that. That's why I said the Lakers, because the truth of the matter is, they're a better team than the Lakers are right now. But don't nobody care about no Clippers. They might as well be the Brooklyn Nets. Nobody cares about them either. Like, seriously. Nationally, don't nobody care about the Brooklyn Nets or the Los Angeles Clippers. They happen to play in New York and L.A., but, they got their fan bases nationally. Nobody cares. So if you want me to use a different analogy, okay, you're not going to OKC but once if you're LeBron. And so some kid in OKC is looking forward to seeing Russell Westbrook on the same floor as LeBron. And now he's not going to get to see it. And I just got a problem with that. I got a big problem with that.
It's a viable issue, and I definitely understand it. But there's something that a lot of people don't realize, and I remember this being young watching it. When players actually did get that rest? When they were a playoff team, the playoffs started next week, we're on the last 2 games of the season, that's when those particular players, if they did not play, they didn't play as many minutes. That was really the only time that you saw superstars not playing in a particular game due to rest. Okay, I got the playoffs next week starting. I don't want to geek out there playing and he mess around and, break a finger or turn an ankle or what have you, and that messes up how we're going to go into the playoffs. That was the only time.
Well, K-Dub, let me shoot in real quick. Let me shoot in because I still have to go back to there was a different mentality of the players that we had back then too. Like Marcus J stated, he said, you tell Isaiah Thomas, I'm going to rest you this game. First of all, I can't see that in the way he played and how we know he played that he would be like, nah, coach, I'm still going. I'm playing. I don't need a rest. I'm good. I think that people too take advantage of potentially that, and I think it's wrong. But I mean, it's still all business. Now I understand the money portion of what Marcus was talking about. I mean, a kid buys his ticket or his father buys his ticket because he made good grades and he takes him to see LeBron come when they come and they play. Okay, then and LeBron decides or the management decides he's not going to play. Is that game that serious, like we said at first? And is it that necessary for him to play? Or right now, because the Lakers aren't the team that we know they used to be, it's just that they're going to the Staples Center and are we resting on nostalgia? I think that you still have to allow – and you have to work that out between the NBA and the teams that, look, okay, if you're going to rest folks, you need to rest them during a certain time and don't rest them during key marquee matchups where we're making a lot more money.
They've come up with this is what I've heard them speak about, is that for any back-to-backs, not having it nationally televised would kind of I don't know if that would change it, but that's something that's being talked about. And then also, the big question would really be, how do you handle that from a league perspective? Because let's just be honest. You Marcus J, you stated that San Antonio got fined 200 and something grand.
250.
You know that for some players, that's just a game check.
Yes, and that's a whole team. Yeah.
How do you from the NBA perspective, how do you fight that? It's really something that, granted, it is an issue, but if I'm a coach, I don't give a damn what the NBA says. I got a game that I can rest my horse, because I know that come May, June, I'm gonna need my horse. Also, what's also not really being talked about is that you have a lot more of your marquee players playing more minutes. I believe LeBron James may be in the top 3 as far as minutes played. So, and think about, and I'm only using LeBron James. I'm just using LeBron James, whereas he may be one of very few players that may be justified in resting. Here's the reason why. He's gone to the finals the last 6 years. He's played in the finals. He's played game 7 just this last year. So yes, over time, and he's getting older and so on and so forth. Over time, yeah. If I have a LeBron James who's got more years in behind him than he has in front of him, I'm going to try to find those instances where I can sit him. I can get a rest. I can steal some time. So, it may be a case-by-case basis, but again, I go back to the question, how do you fight that from an NBA perspective?
Well, I gotta ask another question, though, Dub, and even with that, what difference is one game going to make?
That's often one question, as a ball player.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm going off of individuals I was fortunate enough to know that played in the league. The NBA, even though we sit and we watch them play, it is a grind. You're not just, sitting around or what have you, chilling out, so on and so forth. It is a grind where you're going from city to city, traveling. You even though you may not practice, you still have to get your work in. And I mean, shoot, when we're just traveling for business, how many times do you come home and you're like, man, I am exhausted, and you come home from a trip, you arrive in town at 4:00 in the morning and you got a game later on that night. So let's not think just because they're athletes and being paid, they're still human beings. They still need to get rest. You still got, at this point in the season, you got a lot of aches, a lot of bumps and bruises. You're probably playing through an injury or two, so.
But that even more impacts my point. What is one game of rest gonna? How I can see if they took 4 or 5 off, but if you're healthy and you're just resting because you want to get rest.
Well, a lot of times it's not the player that is requesting the rest; it's the coach. And then one game, believe it or not, Joe, that one game does make a difference.
I've always asked that question as well, and I guess we're athletic, but we ain't athletes, if that makes sense. I mean, I'd like to think that Joe and I are relatively fit guys for our ages, but we're certainly not supreme level athletes. So it's hard for us to think about that, especially when we know that we getting healthy scratches and we seeing the dude sitting on the bench. You still traveled. You still traveled. You still got your work in.
Here's something that, and this is a coaching perspective. A lot of times, just because you're hurt, just because you're not injured, doesn't mean that you're not hurt.
I mean, you know, but see, you know, again, as a Yankees fan, I just remember what Derek Jeter always said: you either injured or you play.
Yeah,
right. I mean, listen.
I don't care if you hurt.
Anyone in the NBA, you'll probably get. You know,
if
if you ask 10 people, you might get 9 different types of perspectives.
Yeah, because if you're not injured, then you need to play. Like,
Yep.
seriously. And, you know, I heard David Cohn say once that when it was time for him to retire, you literally had to tear the uniform off of him. You know what I'm saying? And obviously speaking hyperbole, but, like, that's some real stuff. Like, seriously, this dude wants to play so much. And it's just hard. It's hard. And I guess there's no right or wrong answer here. But to me, I really,
and don't
really,
fall into the trap. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan before anything else. And so I remember, Dub, you and me, we travel. We travel to games. Now, the last time we went, well, not the last time, but one of the times we went was when we went to Memphis. And you and I went to Memphis, and we get to the game. What if Data told you Carmelo was a healthy scratch that night? Like
I've gone to a few games where I'm sitting there and I realize, like, hey, hold it, wait a minute, such and such ain't playing. Damn.
Healthy scratches.
Pissed. But it really is a case by case, player by player basis. And here's something that I would definitely like. Don't fall into the trap of comparing different sports. Because I'll use an example. You talked about baseball, basketball, and football in regards to the amount of energy expended and travel, so on and so forth, is different. So, a lot of times I hear people when they talk about that, they'll use another sport to justify their particular stance. And to me, that's a trap because, with baseball, you have these trips. You're in the town for 3-4 days at a time. Baseball, you're not going up and down the court. You're not bumping into individuals. Football, you have a week's time period of trying to recover, whereas basketball, okay, I play tonight. I play 40-some minutes. I'm running up and down the court. I'm getting elbow, falling, so on and so forth. I get these dings. I turn my ankle, and then I get on the plane, and tomorrow I got to do that again.
I hear you, and there's something to be said for the point that you're making, and I knew that you were going to go there. That's why I didn't stop you, because I knew exactly where you were going. Baseball, you get to town, you there, you chilling, but you have to do that 162 times. 162. You know what I mean? And again, like with basketball, if you're a great player on a great team, chances are your training camp starts in October and you don't finish until the end of June. If you got Olympics, that's even more time. I got you. I don't care. I mean, the reality is I couldn't care less because I know that you make $30 million a year.
Exactly. You chose that.
You make $30 million.
Does the money really? Well, okay. The money aspect of it from a fan perspective, yes. Look, man, I paid $100 and something for this ticket. You making so and so dollars. I need you to be there.
Basically.
But the money aspect shouldn't trump the human aspect.
It does.
I'm tired, dog. I'm tired.
I mean, it's a game. I'm sorry. I feel like it's a game.
I could not possibly care less that you tired.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly care less that Mr. makes $30 million a year is too tired to play in the one game that I get to scrounge up enough money to get on an airplane to fly here to see you, and you too tired to play. I couldn't care less, man. I couldn't possibly care less.
Yeah, I can't relate because I'm not in their shoes.
And again, I think what gets us in trouble is that we're speaking, and Marcus, you and I'm always perspective of, hey, I'm not telling another man how to spend his money.
Yes.
We're coming from the fan perspective, not really the player perspective.
Yeah, but once again, the fan, if you don't have me,
then you have nothing.
You have nothing. I mean, if you want to go, if you want to run up and down that court,
the fans ain't going nowhere.
That's what exactly.
Remember
the fans are not going anywhere. But
when they had the lockout, when they had the lockout, people were like, "Oh man, the fans, then this is gonna hurt the sport, so on and so forth." And we all know it has not stopped anybody. They cannot have the whole half of the season. It's not going to stop fans from coming to the games. It's not going to stop fans from buying a league pass. It damn sure ain't going to stop everybody in China from tuning in.
But hence, that's what I said. Well, that's why I still say that then you need to think about that, though. It's not going to stop the fans from coming, so it shouldn't stop you from going out there and doing your job. Because that's what
Indeed.
it is. It's your job.
Indeed. It's your job. It is your job. Yep. But I'm just, again, I don't agree with it. I'm just trying to give another perspective because, it is the human aspect of it.
Yeah,
the human aspect of it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'll give you an example. Football. You got to have a few days of recovery. That is just a violent, rough sport.
Yeah, it's built in.
Juxtapose that to basketball. I'm playing more games in a week. I don't have pads on. I'm getting elbowed, thrown to the floor. Might have tweaked my ankle, which we don't see every play. We don't know how every player is. There's people that have groin injuries, hamstring injuries. And believe it or not, at this point of the season, everybody that's playing substantial amount of minutes, they have some type of injury. They have some type of hurt going on. So if I'm LeBron James, I done played so many games, and, maybe me as a player, I want to go out there. I'm a little hurt. I want to go out there, but the coach says, all right, look, out of these 2 games, I'm going to sit you one of these 2. I may give you the option to tell me which game, or I might just say, hey, dog, you're not going to play tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are thoroughly understanding each other, and I don't want it to seem like anybody's attacking you because I think in theory you either agree or at least understand where Joe and I are coming from.
Yeah.
But the reason why I wanted to have you on to have this conversation is because you can come and speak to it from an athletic perspective, from an athlete's perspective, because, obviously the NBA grind is far more than the college grind, but that college grind is something you're familiar with directly. And that's something that I can't speak to that. And I know that you can. So I'm going to close this out, Dub. Basically give you an opportunity, any final words on the subject or anything else that you want to say. It's your first time in a while, and I know that you and I have been talking behind the scenes about trying to get you a little bit more involved, so if you want to tease that, you can, or if you want to go somewhere else.
What I'll say is, again, don't get trapped in what media tells you. Try to use, in regards to this particular situation, try to use your mind and think, okay, these particular players. And just to be honest with you, how many of us have woke up in the morning and was like, man, I do not feel like going into that. And you use that vacation day. And we go to work 5 to 6, 7 times a week. You know what I'm saying? And granted, you have these players that are playing maybe 3 games out of a week, but you're traveling, you're going from Detroit to Orlando to Phoenix all within a week or what have you. So just think about that when it comes to mind. And again, I totally get it and I understand. I just wanted to maybe present an alternative view to it. In regards to going forward, what I would tell the Ain't No Half Stepping family is just be on the lookout for a number of just real good interviews with a number of different people from across the country that I think will be important to get their perspective on a number of different things, from sports to social commentary to just learning about individuals. I was fortunate enough to have a number of other individuals allow me to interview them. So I would say just be on the lookout for a number of good interviews coming down the pike.
I got it, brother. We appreciate you, man. Anytime we have an opportunity to build with my man K-Dub down in the ATL.
Yes, sir. And just to let y'all know, it's 70-some degrees out here, and it's about to be 80 tomorrow. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, you saying that like we didn't just have 65 today. We good.
For real, we all right.
We good. We all right.
Y'all good?
Now,
Y'all good?
We might need to talk to our brethren back home in Jersey City. They might be the ones that we might need to throw
like me.
Nah. They don't like you.
They don't like me.
We appreciate you, brother. So mote it be.
Appreciate you guys, man. Travel light, so mote it be, brothers.
You be cool,
right,
man.
Bro.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. Good topic, Joe.
Definitely.
Good dialogue. Anyway, we're gonna take a break. And when we come back, we got more of the show. We live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Marcus J, Big Bro Joe.
You.
Ain't no half stepping with yours truly. We back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.